Friends, countrymen, fellow enjoyers of turn-based strategy RPGs, I implore you all to join me in once again donning your copium face masks, because Final Fantasy Tactics: The Evilise Chronicles has already surpassed 1 million sales, as recently announced by Square Enix. What does this mean for the future of the franchise? Well, if we take a few looks at things that have been said by the game's director, as well as Yasumi Matsuno himself, who's been discussing this recent milestone, maybe we can start to get some hints about what may be coming on the horizon. My name is Tom, otherwise known as Titanium Legman, and please do join me on a little bit of a copium-fueled adventure. Hello everyone, if you enjoy what I do, including just having casual fun conversations speculating about what may be in the future for Final Fantasy Tactics and some of our other favorite turn-based strategy RPG franchises, then a like on this video and a subscription to the channel would be very much appreciated. Thank you so much. So yeah, realistically, no hard-hitting news today. I just wanted to take the opportunity and start easing back into regular video creation to discuss this recent milestone for Final Fantasy Tactics: The Evilise Chronicles, and how it's actually very impressive based on the expectations set by Yasumi Matsuno and the rest of the team behind the project. Just a few days ago, at time of recording, the official Square Enix Twitter accounts posted about how the game had finally surpassed 1 million total sales, which in only 3 months is a pretty impressive figure. Of course, everyone was very quick to jump on that fact and refer back to previous statements made by Mr. Matsuno himself prior to the game's release, where he stated that the team was expecting to sell between 800,000 and 1 million copies in 3 years. Seems like we did that in a tenth of the time, and that's very exciting. You might ask then, what makes that so exciting? It's exciting because it shows Square Enix that there is in fact a market and a demand for titles like Final Fantasy Tactics, something that they've already been starting to see with the success of games like Triangle Strategy, as well as the absolutely exploding indie scene for the genre, and some moderate success with other titles from other developers as well. The ongoing success of Disgaea comes to mind. Say nothing of how insanely powerful Fire Emblem has been for Nintendo, even if Engage was a little bit of a misstep. Now, with the success of Tactics Ogre Reborn and then this extremely strong showing for Final Fantasy Tactics, we have a much greater possibility of more being done with the franchise going forward. However, this is not just a matter of FFT did really well, so maybe Square Enix will take notice of it. We know for a fact that the entire team behind the Evilise Chronicles, Mr. Matsuno himself, and other developers at Square Enix want to do more turn-based strategy RPGs, especially with FFT. Director My Hero, in an interview prior to the game's release, even stated directly that if this release does well, it will prove the financial viability of FFT and the turn-based strategy RPG genre to Square Enix and potentially greenlight other projects. Going on to mention that he and the team would love to do a sequel. They would love to bring back, maybe update or at least re-release Final Fantasy Tactics Advance or A2. And to me, that is absolutely phenomenal news, right? We've discussed on the channel before about how there has been such an explosion of turn-based tactics and turn-based strategy gaming in the last 5-ish years, with all of the different versions of XCOM-style games that are coming up, even from franchises like Star Wars upcoming now, to the insane number of options, more than I can even keep up with nowadays, in the indie scene, where people are putting all sorts of different ideas together, putting out a ton of creative products, beautifully artistic games that play with the expectations of the genre that we all know and love, and make something new and fresh and exciting. We know that there is a demand here. I mean, hell, Baldur's Gate 3 is one of the biggest and best games ever made, and is a turn-based strategy RPG in a lot of ways. Yes, it's a CRPG, but a lot of the same gameplay systems are there, and it's causing more and more people to be interested in playing that style of game. Same thing with Darkest Dungeon. Also, I have argued, a turn-based strategy RPG in the way that it functions and feels, even if it's not grid-based in the way Tactics is, for example. So now we know that there's a desire and a drive within Square Enix from the developers who made TIC, and presumably some of them worked on Tactics Ogre Reborn as well, to continue to do so if they're given the opportunity. Then, of course, we have to turn and look at Mr. Matsuno himself, who we have talked about plenty of times on this channel, and who has directly stated that he would be happy to do a sequel if Square Enix contacts him about it. He would love to do a prequel set in the 50 Years' War, which is something that a lot of people in my comments and myself would love to see as well. Show us young Orlando, show us young Barboneth, show us young Elmdor, all these different characters, and then all the new characters that you could introduce as well to lead up to the events of FFT itself. What is Gafgarian up to? Who knows? How did the church really come to power in the way that it did? We would find out, presumably. That would be a ton of fun to see. And, of course, we also know that Matsuno actually has written out post-scenario story and character movement for the cast of FFT. We know now that the cast survives the end of TIC and then goes on to continue to fight in engagements in other countries to try and free those populations in much the way that they fought for the populations of Ivalice, and this actually does draw Delita and Ramza back into conflict. This is canon. Mr. Matsuno himself has confirmed this. He has written it all out. It exists. So the possibility of us being able to actually see that, especially now with how well TIC has done, I would say is higher than ever. Now, say that this actually happens, right? Where is this all going to go and how will it proceed? Obviously, a brand new game would take quite a while to make, especially if they wanted to live up to everyone's expectations, whether it be a prequel, a sequel, whatever. So what I imagine would happen first is we would probably see that re-release of Tactics Advance and A2. Now, I don't know that they would do a full remake of that, maybe an upscaling type thing, because they are a GBA game and a DS game respectively, but there are a lot of gameplay systems that would very much appreciate being tweaked. It would be awesome to see them voiced, although the scripts for those games are gigantic, so I don't know how feasible that would be. But something would definitely need to be done if they wanted to bring it to modern consoles and not have it basically just be like a ROM like Nintendo does when they put their old games on the Switch, right? However, I see that being a much simpler project comparatively than a fully brand new title. So I imagine we'll see that first, assuming that it does happen. Of course, there's absolutely no confirmation of anything. This is all speculation, but this is what I would like to see. And then based off of that, or maybe even while they're working on those, they can also be working on whatever comes after FFT. Regardless of how it goes down, though, we all know, those of us who are in this community and who play this genre of game, that there is a gold mine of potential here. Just the recent release of Unicorn Overlord, a completely different style, much more ogre battle in its nature, of turn-based strategy or just real-time strategy-ish, but then like with your different unit setups and however you want to describe it, there is so much potential here, and that is absolutely something that Square Enix has to see now that the numbers that they're seeing from FFT. As a result, I think we're absolutely going to be seeing more going forward, and of course, you can expect me to stay on top of it and inform you guys about it as soon as we hear anything, or there's any funny little hints from Mr. Matsuno. We know he likes to do that on his Twitter account. We've discussed that before as well. But I'm curious, what do you guys think? Do you think it is actually a possibility at this point that we will be able to get more FFT in the future? Will we see Advance and A2 come back? Will we have a prequel, a sequel? Will we finally get more Tactics Ogre or Ogre Battle, again, based on the success of Unicorn Overlord? And if we are going to get those things, what would you like to see? How would you like to see it done? And when do you think we might start to see these things begin rolling out? I think there's a lot of good discussion to have here. It is just fun to speculate, of course, and I will absolutely be down in the comments chatting with y'all about it as well. For now, though, I'm going to wrap this one up here. Just figured this would be a fun, nice little thing to start the new year off. Fun little discussion about one of our favorite games. Thank you all for bearing with me as I continue to get back into the swing of things. For now, my name has been Tom, otherwise known as Titanium Legman. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you all have a good night. Stay safe and healthy out there, y'all. And remember, be good to each other. Bye now.